Now we're going to be setting up the McKay Servo I ventilator in the pressure support modality. We're going to be using a disposable patient circuit, which is very commonly used in the hospitals today due to price and expense and the short term of intubation of patients. How do you tell which side is inhalation? Look for the temperature port. Does that really matter since we're using an HME? We're in lab, so yes, it does matter. Now I will take my inspiratory side. There's my port, here's my limb, and I'm going to put it right here. If you notice, it has a patient that says inspiratory. So I'm going to hook that there. Then I'm going to take the exhalation side, support the top of the exhalation cartridge, and push that on. And unlike this Puritan Bennett 840, I can go ahead and hook this up to my test lung, which I am going to do. Then I am going to spin this around for you. Now I have it turned around backwards so you can see that there is a switch right here. It goes that way and that way. You heard that beeping, it was turning on, but I turned it right back off. This lever here, when you pull it in, will allow you to adjust the screen. And there's another lever that I'll show you. So I'm going to turn this around so that you can see when it turns on. So there's our front screen, it is now locked in. This is the lever if I want to spin it, pull it up and spin, and now it's locked in. To get the glare off, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to use that little toggle switch in the back to turn it on, and there it's going to power up. And it does a self-check. And it takes a minute to self-check. Okay, what it's going to ask me now is, do you wish to do a pre-use check? Just like with the 840, we will do it later, but not now. So I am going to do now. No. Before you put this on a patient, the pre-use check must be done. Every time you turn off the ventilator, the pre-use check gets erased and has to be redone. So many of these ventilators, once they're done, will be placed on standby with everything ready to go sitting on the side. What it's asking me now is, do you want to delete patient data, trends, and event log? Basically, what are you doing? You're just deleting the last patient. If you have this set up and placing it on the exact same patient, you want to say no. If you're putting it on a new patient, then we want to say yes. So right now, as you see, the pre-use check was not done. Patient circuit test was not done. Right now, the default is to go into infant modality. We are going to go into adult mode. Again, we can go into non-invasive or invasive ventilation. One of the good things about the Servo I is that you can set this up before you even put it on a patient. So what we want to do is come to volume. Sometimes you're touch screen challenged. Right there. This is our modes. So we're going to pull this down and go to pressure support CPAP. Click that. Now, inspiratory time. This is just like your rise time on the 840, and this is the same thing. How long does it take to get to maximal pressure? We do it for patient comfort. I'm going to turn it off. To adjust items, you want to highlight the item and twist it here. As you see, there it's highlighted, and the number is changing. I can accept it by pushing the button, push it again, and change it. Once that is no longer highlighted, I can use this one to toggle through, see the blue square, toggle through my settings, and when I get to something I want, and then when I find what I want, I go back to it. So I'm going to go back and take off inspiratory time, my rise. Pressure support above PEEP, I do not want that. So I can touch screen or use the toggle. So I want to take this down to 10. Whoop. And accept. So my trigger flow is at 5. I'm going to make it a little easier to trigger. Remember, we can trigger with volume, pressure, time, or flow. This one is only for pressure or flow. Inspiratory cycle off, just like the 840. This is the percentage at which you're going to cycle off the breath. This one will go from 70 down to 1. So a little different depending on the manufacturer. Default is right about 30. Okay, and then on the side over here, we have our backup ventilation if your patient stops breathing. Well, I'm going to accept that. Boom. You know what? Nothing is happening. Why not? Well, to start ventilation, lift this up. Be careful with this. These always get broken. And breath. Again, I have to trigger my lung. If you notice, my PIP right there is 15. My pressure support is set at 10. My PEEP is set at 5. All of our ICU ventilators are what we call PEEP compensated. So the pressure support is above the PEEP. So how do you get your PIP? Pressure support plus PEEP. Unlike the V60, it is not PEEP compensated. You're setting your IPAP and you're setting your EPAP. If you notice, I am triggering the breaths. What is our tidal volume? If you look down at the bottom, you see VTI, VTE. We're losing a little bit due to leakages. Looks like about 90. It could be because of our test lung, so I'm not too worried about that. So if we decrease our pressure support, we can either go back into the previous screen or adjust it right here. So my pressure support's now down to 5. So that should make my PIP, for those of you, oh hush. Again, over here, alarm silence. And you get 2 minutes of alarm silence. My PIP should be 10. And it is. If you see what happened to my tidal volume dropped. So to keep this ventilator from yelling at me, I'm going to take this back up to 10. There. The other way I can change it is if I came over here, hit that, and then pressure support above PEEP. And then use my knob over here to adjust. This one will not change until you accept it, and you have to accept it down there. Essentially, that is how you set it up. Again, real quick, let's go with, if you want different parameters, additional values. They're hard to show the video. So right there, my tidal volume is 925, 822. I'm going to go in and change my cycle off time. I'm going to really take it up to 70 and accept. Look what happened to my tidal volume. It really dropped. It was about 9 to 800 because the breath is cycling off much faster. So if I take that back down to, I'm going to take it all the way down to 1. And look at my tidal volume. It's over 900. So the cycle off time does change your tidal volume because it changes when the flow termination occurs. Okay? And that does it for the Servo I and pressure support ventilation.